Home was a tiny hamlet on the road to nowhere. A pub, a cobbler, an old tin mission hut and a large pond, edged by forest, nestled in the unfolding chalky white bosom of the Chiltern Hills. We were miles from the nearest large town, a few homes scattered around a crossroads where the old droving roads met. Shepherds and herdsmen on their way to market once let their flocks and herds drink from the pool, which had been fed by a bubbling spring. The crayfish long since gone, the water now dark, the spring silted up. Rich, dense swathes of oak and ash, elm and beech enfold the houses, a forest stretching out for miles around. In the winter months, wood smoke rises from chimneys carried on the wind. The smell hangs over the huddle of homes, warm and inviting. Here on this crossroads, woodland gives way to downy pasturelands, rolling steeply to the river below. In summer, the scent of hedgerows, meadowland, elderflower, cut pasture and honeysuckle garland the air, a fragrance that lingers and soothes, calm, tranquil. Walking or cycling along the meandering lanes, it's a toil and a labour up any one of the long hills to reach our small community. Change of position, or are you happy just to roll with it?
I might move slightly. Is this the final section?
I will try and do it in one go.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. In which case I will come a little bit closer.
Hi there, everybody. I really want to stop and say thank you. Thank you for connecting with me, with us. Thank you for watching the videos, for following, for liking them, for commenting and for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And you can find me also on my author page on Facebook. And one of the questions that you've asked me, that's come up a couple of times, is why am I making these videos? Do I have an agenda? Am I a transgender activist? And I don't really see myself as a transgender activist. I spend far too much of my energy and my life just trying to survive, to throw my energy into activism, however you define that. But I do see myself as an advocate particularly for transgender youth and for all those who identify as transgender, as other, who feel vulnerable. Because I understand what it was and what it is to grow up with that crushing weight of dysmorphia and gender dysphoria. I get it, I lived through it, and I survived. Another reason that I'm making these videos is to promote and publicise my book, which is being published by Dartman, Longman and Todd. They've taken a gamble on my story and on the theological hot potato of transgender in the church. I'm really grateful to them for that. And it's being published on July the 1st, 2021. But it is available to pre-order, and we'll put a link at the end of this video. So yeah, I'm making the video to promote my book, and then people say, well, what's your book about and why did you write your book? And my book is really just the story of my life from the age of 4 or 5, my earliest memories, right through to today, at the age of 62. So I'm kind of squeezing in 57 years into one tiny book. So it makes for quite a hair-raising read. Writing the book for me was both a very cathartic thing, I was really wrestling trying to understand myself and my life, and the shock and the reality of knowing that I'm transgender and have been transgender all my life. Writing the book was a means of working that out, of expressing myself and putting my thoughts into focus and into shape. And it was very healing to look back over memories and to find understanding and to find reasons for why things happened or why I'm like I am. But also it was quite traumatic because it meant focusing on memories, on issues, on relationships which were incredibly painful or destructive. And it meant discovering trauma that I didn't even know that I was suffering from. So it was neither an easy write, and it's not really the easiest of reads because it covers so many traumatic issues in our lives. Issues of suicide, issues of self-harm, depression, mental health issues, addictions. But it's all with a purpose. I don't share my story to elicit sympathy or because I need stroking or a pat on the back. I share my story to empower others and to help others realise that actually we can move through our traumas, to find a place of healing and a place of real peace and a real joy in this life. We don't have to wait for pie in the sky, that actually there's a life that we can enjoy now, that we can come through these traumas to a place of real and lasting peace. As transgender people, many of us have been through multiple traumas. The associated battles that we faced in being transgender, involving addictions, drivenness, compulsions, alcohol dependency, relational difficulties, they can be compounded in multiple trauma. And transition itself, the gender realignment surgery, and transitioning socially your gender is and can be a traumatic process. And that needs to be acknowledged by ourselves and by those, the church particularly, who seek to take on a caring, loving, pastoral role for us. There's a huge message being heard from the church today, which is that you can't be transgender and a Christian. It's very fundamentalist in its origins. It's very anti-science, it's very anti-medicine. It goes against all the advice of the caring professions. But it's a very loud one, and it's one that particularly brings condemnation and shame on transgender youth. But the amazing thing is that so many of us are drawn to the life of Christ. We are drawn to Jesus. There is something in his sufferings which we see, which we relate to, there's a soul thirst, there's a soul hunger to know this Jesus. And many of us actually follow Jesus as transgender people, and it seems the most natural thing in the world to follow Jesus. So I would even dare to suggest to the church that we as transgender have insights into the death of self and what it costs and what it means to die to this world. And I think from observing over the years my transgender friends that we do have gifts and giftings to bring to the church, to share with the church, to enrich the life of the church. What I see in my transgender friends almost overwhelmingly is a depth of sensitivity, a depth of tenderness, a depth of caring for one another, for humanity, that is staggering and has impressed me so deeply. And I think if only the church could accept us and welcome us, our gifts and our giftings, into its life, then we could bring something beautiful to the church. In all of this, in these videos and in my book, my one aim is to show how the love of God indwells us. And however you perceive, however you frame, however you want to understand God, not necessarily even a strict Christian sense, that this love is transformative, that it's healing, and it's every bit as much a part of my transition and my transformation as my gender issues and social transition is. So that's really just a very quick answer to that one question: why am I making these videos? Why have I written my book? I hope it explains a little about that. And again, I want to say thank you for listening. Really glad that you're here, and yeah, look forward to seeing you on the next video. Lots of love.